What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Insurance Isn't Boring. I'm your host, Elijah, joined as always by the one and only Xander Wolle. We got a special episode today, a little bit different because previously we've interviewed people who are in different agencies. Um, Today we're interviewing my one and only upline, Christopher Cook, who's a veteran in the industry. He's building a massive business with this company. He's got almost 2 decades, maybe 2 decades of experience in the industry. He's a wealth of knowledge, and we're going to pick his brain and hopefully drop some bombs on stuff that you could learn, you could go apply, and we'll just see where this conversation takes us. But Chris, welcome to the show, man. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing excellent. Honored to be here, guys. Just excited. I've listened. I think this is, what'd you say? Is this your 21st episode? What is it? How many
This
episodes
Yeah,
you
might
it's a
been?
be
big one.
21 or 22. I'm not totally
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, I think I've listened to, I may have listened to all of them. So I just want you to know, big fan and just honored to be here with you guys. Usually I listen to it during my workouts. I love to see where your mindset's at and just how you guys are developing the business and, picked up some really good stuff along the way. So great to be here with you guys. And just so you know, it's 21 years. So a little bit over 2 decades, just like you said, I've been in the industry. So in the
That's
industry,
amazing.
not with Symmetry now, by the way.
Right.
So
We'll
yeah.
talk a little bit about the practice company as we call it too, just
Yeah,
to
man.
just to kind of share the difference in our company versus some of the other IMOs out there and what makes us special. But good to have you, man. Xander, how are you doing today, buddy?
Great. It's fun of the weather turned around down here in Charleston. We got sunshine, so I can't really complain about anything.
I like it. You'd be doing any better, you'd be dead, right? That's what that's what you
Keep saying
typically.
that. I was like, I got to say something different today.
Awesome. Well, hey, just to we like to start the episode with a little bit of street cred, give people a reason to listen to us. Xander, what are you at for the week, or what's your team at for the week so far on a Friday?
Team is we've just hit 20K for the week, which is pretty solid. I'm a little over five of that. Got five more appointments today, so we'll see if we can't catch 10. I like to hit 10 each week at a minimum.
I like it. I'm at 7 apps for just over 12 grand in premium so far. Not too shabby. Chris, what's the team at for the week so far, man? The total hierarchy with all your writers.
Well, it's funny. Yesterday morning or yesterday evening when Tina left, she texted me, it was right at 255,000. So I'd say we're right about 300,000 for the week right now. So yeah, it's going good, buddy. It's going good. We're right about 300,000 for the week. So it's good. It's good stuff. Yeah, the train is moving in a rapid direction. So it's good times, man. Let's put it that way, buddy.
Heck yeah. I just got that pop up as well. Is your Wi-Fi all good? Okay. Well, we can hit the pause button on you.
Mine
Um,
looks like it's recording all good. So
yeah, yours is all good. Mine's all good. Elijah's the one causing problems.
let's go, Elijah. Yep.
All right.
Xander, your stash game is strong now, though. I'm loving it, buddy.
Right as I got a golf trip next week. That's like the main
Oh,
thing I did
I'm
it
gonna
for.
say,
And Maya absolutely hates it. So I think I'm gonna be getting rid of this thing after that, but
is
I
it
will
your
miss it.
birdie stash? Is that what it is? Your
It's
birdie
my birdie
stash?
stash. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like it. You're gonna be wearing what's those shirts now? The good birdies, the birdie shirt. What do they call
Uh,
them? You know what I'm talking
Bad
about?
birdie. Yeah, yeah,
Bad
yeah.
birdie. Yeah, I've
Yes,
got
I know
some
exactly
bad
what you're
birdie
talking about.
shirts. Yeah, I got some bad birdie shirts. So I
We
actually
got to be
love one
ready.
of them. Like it looks very tropical, and I at least feel like I can play good when I wear it. So we'll see. But
Golf's just
you guys
gotten
playing that?
so. We are going to St. George, Utah, which I've
Nice.
never been before, but the course is. I mean, it's like you're basically in the Grand Canyon, right? So it's just
Yeah.
like plain. It's like all these plateaus, valleys, stuff like that, and then There we go.
We back.
You know who lives there? Kent Weir lives there. So he lives on the golf course there, I believe.
I might
St.
have to
George.
hit. Really? I might have to hit Ken up.
Yeah, he lives in St. George.
I love it.
I'm gonna have to hit Ken up.
So
All right, we got you back. You're
we're good.
recording
We're
now.
good. Sorry about that, y'all. I got the Wi-Fi of a third world country right now, apparently. So Chris, your agency's doing 300 grand in a week, which is absurd. Obviously, you're not out in the field writing apps, booking appointments, helping families with mortgage protection, life insurance. You've duplicated yourself enough times to where your business is producing that. What's your team doing on an average month these days, man?
Well, it's crazy. Love that you asked that. So last month we set an all-time record for a 4-week turn-in. We did right at 1.193, so just shy of 1.2 million on a 4-week month. We're in a 5-week turn-in month this month, and we might hit 1.5 million.
That's absurd.
So 1.5 million maybe in a month. But right now after this week, I believe we'll be on pace to do 1.5 million this month.
I think a lot of people,
So
I mean,
I just want
that's
you to know.
insane.
That's
That's
yeah, buddy.
insane.
And one thing I will say to this though, Elijah, because a lot of people listen to the broadcast, I was like, this guy just sat behind a desk. Keep in mind, my first 10 years in the industry, all I did was I was a personal producer. I was out in the field. I drove to appointments, and I made my first million plus in income in this industry in the field. So
We wanted to get into that a little bit because people see you now, they're like, man, Chris is living the high life.
yeah,
But one of the things that I really love about you is kind of the story that you have, right? When you first started this, it was, I love the story you told at conference, right? Hey, I brought the wrong apps to to the appointment. So all the appointments that I ran and sold didn't count for anything. Like when you started, this business, in my opinion, was a lot harder than it is today. And so I'm just kind of curious what that transition has looked like. And even more so when someone comes to you, they're like, Chris, this doesn't work. This is so hard. I'm in the valley. I think it would be hard to empathize with someone in that spot, knowing everything that you had to do to get to where you are today. Kind of how do you think about that? How have you seen the evolution, and kind of what gets you excited for new agents when you see them come in, given how much easier it is today than it used to be?
Yeah, well, and I appreciate you bringing that up because I think it just gives you proper perspective, right? Anything we do in business, sometimes we just need perspective on what we do. Because some people go, man, this business is hard. And then now I'm like, man, I'm maybe weird, but I really think it's pretty easy now. Like, I think it's actually really easy right now. Because when we first started, ordering leads, you would order leads once a week. And this is going all the way back. Keep in mind, I'm going old school on you. This is me starting brand new in this business. This is November of 2004. You ordered your leads once a week, right? Once a week, you only had a shot. They got mailed to you, delivered to you. And and so if you either got all the ones you needed or whatever, is great. And if you didn't, whatever. And it was just weird, man. We'd get that. And then my training derived of a guy pulling up at a Walmart parking lot. He rolled down his window, and keep in mind, I'd never been in this business before, never been in sales or anything. Rolled down his window because he didn't want to get outside because it's in a Walmart parking lot. He slid 10 leads through the thing, Xander, and he said, hey, here's you some leads, and here's the phone script, and he slid that through there, and I guess he didn't want to get wet, right? And he said, go get them. And he said, oh, here's a website you can go to if you need anything like there. And so just that was my training in the business, right? And then we'd take our leads, and then we would drive Xander out to appointments. I know some people are like, what is that anymore, right? And I know there's people out there in the industry does it. And I know you guys have a lot of listeners with other companies, and I still think that's a wonderful way to do business. However, the virtual world has changed. I remember when I first started here at Symmetry, my appointments, this was 11 years ago, my appointments were in Lexington, Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, and I had a GMR in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I'd get up in the mornings and I would schedule appointments all day. The next day, I would drive 5 hours to my first set of appointments just north of Louisville in Southern Indiana. Then I'd come back to Louisville, run some appointments, drive over to Lexington, finish out my day, and then I'd drive back home, right? Or I'd get a cheap hotel room. Like, hey, Elijah, I know you and Grant used to do that up in Delaware, right? And, you know, run those appointments. And the reason we did that is because we had to go where the leads were. And at
Yeah.
that time, that's where the leads were, right? That's where the marketing that was coming in. And I didn't have anything any closer. And, you know, I love that you shared that story about conference. I remember going to Kentucky for the first time. And I was like, when I got back home, Xander, I'm like looking at the app and I'm like, because remember, it's all paper apps back then. I looked at it and I was like, wait, that little TN at the bottom doesn't say KY. Is that supposed to say KY? You know, for Kentucky and not Tennessee. And man, I think I wrote 8 applications the day before. And I was like, son of a motherless goat. I've got to travel all the way back to, I got to travel back to Kentucky tomorrow and get all these re-signed. So, hey, still did it, made it all happen. But yeah, man, it gives you proper perspective of what the difference
Mm.
is now, right, buddy?
It's
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I cannot imagine that. I like no show now. Okay, they didn't answer my phone call, right? I'm just going to dial for more appointments as opposed to, I mean, Elijah knows this, right? Like you can see him in you can see him in their living room and like they just won't answer the door. Um, it's a little less
mm,
painful.
Yeah, I remember missing a signature. You guys will love this. I missed a signature, and Indiana at that time required a wet signature, so you couldn't fax a facsimile of it. It had to be a wet signature because you had to send the original copy to the insurance companies at that time. You could fax them, but you also had to send the original. So I had to get a wet signature. I missed an initial on an application in Southern Indiana. I was in Knoxville. I had to get up the next day, drive back up there. The reason I did that, y'all know I'm playing smart here. My application I wrote there was $576 a month for a mortgage protection. So I still made a smart business decision to go do that, right? And
mm. Um, so Chris, you've been in the industry for 21 years. What you were working, you didn't have insurance experience prior to getting in here. Um, what was the
yes, sir.
main difference between Symmetry and the company you were at before that made you want to make a change?
Well, you know, it's something that I just learned in life. Like at that point, you know, I was dating a girl. Her name was Lauren, and that was fine. It was fine for that chapter of my life. I just wanted to make money. When I first got in the insurance industry, I was working at Crosstalk. I was making $42,000 a year. And Elijah, man, I was 32 years old. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so it was a much different human being who I was back then, but I just wanted to make more money. Like at that time, I just wanted to make more money. Didn't know how I was going to do it. She was in copier sales at the time, and I saw where she made a lot of money in a very short amount of time. And I answered a newspaper ad. It said mortgage station sales leads 75K plus a year. And I was like, Xander, I was like, man, sounds like more money than I'm making. And I love the fact that it said leads. Like that was key to me because I just didn't want a cold call. It wasn't my cup of tea. Like that was very important. So I went out and I took that. And Elijah, Xander, I was so nervous when I first started. I was ready to throw up on my very first appointment. Right. And so I want you to know, like, none of this was natural for me. Like I had to grow into this, like calling people, never done that before, sitting in people's homes, never done any of that. And, and I just, but I had a dream because I just didn't want to be at a cross dock or a factory for the rest of my life. And really that was the jobs that I had available to me at the time. And I didn't want to do that. I just dreamed there was something more. Right. And then I went to my first conference with that old company, and it was the first time in my life that I just saw a bunch of people that had dreams for a better life. And I just felt like I was home. And that was a previous company. And I love that company. And I'll say this, I thank God for that company every day because the lessons I learned at that company created who I am today, right? And I learned a lot of lessons there that made me a great producer and help a lot of families. So I'll be always continuously grateful for that company. However, after 10 years of working there, I think I helped north of 2 or 3,000 families personally on my own pen. I was was getting a little burnt out, just running appointments and creating 150, 200K a year on my own pen. I could do that. I'd already been married to that girl we talked about earlier, named Lauren. Now I've been married to her and blessed to for 18 years this June. Um, but we both just decided at the end of 2013, after 10 years of producing, and I'd built a small agency there, nothing big, that, man, it was like Groundhog's Day. Like every year was the same. Like I could go out and make my 200K a year and, I could go out and do it, but I felt like I was not creating something for the future. And something happened a few years earlier than that. I had a little boy in 2009. His name is Reese Cook. And I had another little boy in 2012, August 2012. His name's Noah Cook. They were 4 and 1. And I remember Xander just looking at him and I'm like, what kind of future am I creating if I stay where I'm at? That was a question I had to ask myself. And what does it look like 3 years from now when they're 7 and 4 and they're playing little league baseball and basketball? Where's dad going to be? And right then I was like, I'm going to be 3 or 4 hours away running appointments 3 or 4 nights a week to make income for our family. And I was like, I don't see it changing where I was at, right? The profitability, the way things were structured, just didn't see where I could actually achieve that there. I talked to a couple of companies you guys have heard of. I talked to Symmetry Financial, Brandon Ellison, Casey Watkins, went over there and met with them. And we just felt like that was the best fit for our family. And the biggest thing that I told them, guys, I said, hey, I'm not coming here because a lot of people in the industry wanted me to come to their company and be that big producer. And I was very blunt with people. I was like, I'm not going to come here to be a big producer. I'm coming here to build a business. Okay. Now, I knew I was going to have to create now money. Okay. So when you start in wherever anybody out there that hears my voice today with whatever company you're with, yeah, you're going to have to create the now money. I get that. I had to too. Um, Always my focus though here was the way the profitability Elijah is set up, where you can be profitable on your own pen and go out and help families. It's set up such a great structure. But at the same time, I think the pure genius of Symmetry, the way it's set up for me and my family, better than other companies for me, was it takes a bridge from self-employed to business owner. And guess what? By the time my boys turned 3 and 4 years old, we were doing 2, 3 million a year in APV outside of my own pen. So it allowed me to coach the basketball team. I haven't missed a game since they started playing ball, a game that I chose to miss, right? Does that make sense? I've
Yeah.
not missed anything that I haven't chosen to miss, and it was my own decision too. And I probably, if I have, it may have been one or two, and that's just like I said, just a choice. Because when I grew up, I didn't have a father or mother at any of my little league games, and I just wanted to be there for them, right? And and I'll just tell you the profitability of building a business here, Elijah, from the question you asked, what's the difference? The profitability of building a business here and bridging that gap is something that's actually unique. You grew up at Symmetry, so you really don't know the other ones, right? You don't know how tough it could be with others. I do. Also, there's a thing called lead overrides with other companies that some companies are structured there. If I hire Xander and I hire Elijah and they're direct to me, whatever contract I'm on, whatever leads they take, I pay the difference between my earned contract and theirs. Some of my lead bills per week running a small agency would be $500 to $1,000, $1,500 a week outside of
That's
my own
crazy.
leads.
That's crazy.
So I know long-winded answer, but I just, there's so much, but I really just say the ability to go out and build a business for you and your family quickly at a very profitable level and retain really good people, the people that are willing to work,
Hmm.
is phenomenal here.
Yeah. And for anyone listening, right? Chris is a 130 direct to the founders, top of the company. One of the big things that I've actually been meaning to ask some more of the 130s that we have is, I hear Danny Young say it sometimes on the national call. He's like, I couldn't screw this thing up if I tried. Right? You've got a bunch of really high caliber leaders who have see a great leader in you, and that's why they've chosen to follow you. I'm curious, for someone like yourself, team's doing 300,000 a week. What gets you out of bed in the morning? Like, what gets you excited? Because I see it when you're not on, going to Four Seasons and flying to destinations all over the world. Like, you're in the office helping people get going. Like, what is it that gets you excited every day?
Well, I still say I love seeing people like Elijah. Elijah's direct to me. I just want to see them win and them figure it out. It's one of the reasons I love watching y'all's podcast is I love to see the way Elijah's thinking. You know what I mean? I love to see what he's thinking, right? And I see him growing in the business, and you as well, Xander. I love to see people grow in this business and industry because I know what it's meant to me as a father. I know what it's meant to me as a husband. Because the beauty of it, yes, we've been blessed to be able to make a lot of income, travel the world, but who I've become has actually been way more important. And I'm telling you, that's the really cool stuff. Like, I really enjoy reading the book of the month. Like, I know we do 10 pages before we start our day. Like, that stuff fulfills me. And I just love Xander. I love seeing other people be able to do that. I love seeing other people win. Like, we got Jeff Miller on the third month of his 130 run. Joe just broke out as a 130. Mark just broke out as a 130. So, and you guys got that in your future. It's just, I love Xander. Like, what gets me up every day is that. And then I'm always fighting to create more of a legacy for my boys. And legacy, Xander, I used to confuse with, because I grew up after my father. He died in a car accident when I was 10 years old. So I think everybody needs to understand that, because you got to understand the psychology of where I came from. So we lost everything. He had zero life insurance or anything like that. So I really, for the first part of my career here, I was hell bent on creating so much income that the day I die, because it's going to happen, because statistically, point is, we're all going to die, right? So when we die, I just wanted them to be okay financially. Now, I feel like I've grown to a different place where, man, it's who I leave them, and who they are. The legacy of who they are is actually going to far outweigh the income. Does that make, and I know that's sort of weird, but it's just, if you ask me what gets me up every day is just me developing me and being a better version of me to pour into others. But, I'm not Joe's hero. I'm not Elijah's hero. They're going to be the hero of their own story. I just want to be there as a
Mm.
guide for it. Right. And a proper guide. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So,
no, that makes perfect sense.
You're like the Yoda of our
Um,
agency, Chris. And I think
yeah,
I feel
literally.
like,
you are, dude.
hey,
Yeah. There we
Yoda
go.
on my
There
desk.
we go. Dude has a lightsaber on his desk.
Dude, this is real for me. I want you to know, like, it's
And I
real for
think what
me.
you're talking about, man, is you're talking about legacy, but you're also talking about how you're going to be remembered because of what you're doing today. And your kids are never gonna. The thing I love about what this opportunity provides, not only a great income, but I mean, you're not sacrificing time away from your family to go make that income at this point. Been there, done that. You did do that initially. And then when your kids came into the picture, your why got so much bigger. And it was like God was like, "Hey, I got something bigger, better, and badder for you if you latch on to it." And your kids will, I've heard this. I mean, I don't have kids yet, but your kids will remember the little things way more than, oh, I'm so glad dad was at the office till 10 p.m. on a Thursday. They're never going to think about that. They're going to remember the fact that you were at every single basketball game and you were coaching their team and you got to go take them to Hawaii to go get surfing lessons on the North Shore. And the stuff like that that really matters is what we're talking about when it comes to legacy, because we're all going to die. But the impact you leave on people and the memories that you create are what's really, really valuable.
Yeah, I think if you're with a company that encourages it and has a good structure that you can do it, and do it profitably, it's awesome, right? Number one, let's say you're good at this business, right? Well, if you're good at anything and you're good at this business, it gives you the opportunity to share the wealth of opportunity that you already know is cool, right?
Right.
Xander, I know you go out and you help somebody and it's cool. You make $700 to $1,000 and you've impacted their family in such a positive way for the next 20 or 30 years. Something happens to one of their family members, they're still okay. And that's awesome, right? That's actually a really cool thing,
Yeah.
I, knowing the story of my father and him passing away, it's like I just understood the value of what we do for families, right? And so that's always been huge for me. And then, just understanding that's a cool thing. And then I'm like, well, they're going to actually pay me more if I hire people and develop people to do what I do. And I'm like, and then if I hire enough of them, I'm actually not affected daily, right, by my wins or losses, right? I think John Maxwell said it. He read it in a book or whatever. I'll give him credit. I'd rather have 1% of 100 men's
That's
efforts than
good.
100% of one man's efforts.
Yeah.
Like, because if, let's just say if I'm just a personal producer and I'm still at that other company, say I've made 5 million in my own pen. And well, the day I die, that income stops coming in,
Yeah.
right? And so what I figured out here, well, if I want, a future for my family financially, that it's even stable after I leave, because I want to make sure my wife's taken care of, my kids taken care of. What I loved about Symmetry, it gave us an opportunity, when you become agency owner, you sign an agency owner contract. If I die, it still goes directly to my wife. The income keeps coming in. If she passes away, we've already get set up to go to her sister till my boys turn the age of 18. So that was obviously one of my whys, right? The financial stability part, but just understanding that you can create massive income and massive impact. It's like I could impact so many families if I was out personally producing. I think my best days, my record applications for a day in one day was 11. So I did write 11
It's pretty
applications in a
good.
day. So I can produce it, right? Um, But now there's some days I write 75 applications, 100 applications in a day because we've been out and we've developed. So there's so many more families we can help. And I really believe in what we do because of what happened from my father. Like, I really think it's special what we do for families. It's not hokey. I'm not just saying it to say it. It actually happened to me. Right.
Right.
And so the tragedy end of it. So I just see the value of it. I guess it's ingrained in my soul. And so the value for me, value in recruiting has always been there. And I just think sharing this opportunity, Elijah, with other people is one of the greatest things I can do because I truly believe in what we do. So
Yeah. And I do too. I had a full circle moment earlier this year. A lady that I helped back when I didn't really know what I was doing. I had just started. We made a real good connection over the phone, and she called me up. It was a month or two ago, and she said, "Xander, I have been diagnosed with a pretty serious illness, terminal illness, and she had been given less than 12 months to live, and she wanted to thank me because we had such a good time on the phone." And number two, because she knows that when she's no longer there, her family's not going to have to pay for her funeral. They're not going to have to cover her kind of portion of income for the mortgage. And there's actually still going to be a little something left over after all of that. And that hit me right in the feels. And it was like, you hear people say what we do matters. And it's when you get phone calls like that, or like I got an agent on my team who he wrote an accidental on a gentleman about 4 months ago, so not that long ago. Guy passed away in a motorcycle accident a little over a month ago. His family's on the receiving end of $500,000, and it cost them. I mean, they really, obviously emotionally, that's going to be very tough. But as far as like financial wise, they hadn't even put $100 into that policy, and it's just like you hear people say that. I remember I heard, was it? I forget who it was. It was an agency owner, and she was talking about, the longer I'm here, the more I care about the impact I'm having on not only the families I help, but also my teammates. And I remember rolling my eyes a little bit, like just vulnerability. I rolled my eyes a little bit when I first heard that. I was like, yeah, making $100,000 a month. It'd be real easy to say that,
right,
right?
I get it.
But the longer you're here, you're like, nah, that's spot on the money.
Yeah,
Um, and it's one of those things I feel like you kind of got to stick around long enough to go through one of those experiences where you're like, no, what we do really affects lives.
yeah.
And I feel like I have much more of an impact on the beautiful country that we live in than I did back when I was,
Hmm.
writing computer programs.
Oh, yeah. No, it's like, and I know I've referred to the father thing a couple of times, and it's like the weird cheat code that God gave me in life was as a 10-year-old watching the business he had built be taken away from us, the house he had got for us be taken away from us, the houseboat that he had went out and worked so hard for be taken away from us, all within 6 months of him passing, and both businesses all gone. And I just got to watch it as a 10-year-old. And so, it's like watching, you ever seen Slumdog Millionaire? Yeah. So, in that movie, remember he's on Jeopardy and he realized looking back at his life, he got the answers earlier in life for questions that he would have later on. Right. And so I look back at my life, it's like, stuff that we've been through as a family, stuff that I went through as a kid. And it's like, for me, it's weird. It's like, man, it's a very spiritual thing. It's almost like God gave me the answers or the answers earlier in life for questions that
Mm,
I would get later on. So it's crazy. You know, very
yeah.
it's very deep for me. Like it's not
Yeah.
this is this is
No,
not an
no
accident, I
shot.
don't think.
No shot at all, man.
I love that everybody's going to get to hear this on the podcast because this was something I struggled with early on. Okay. So when I first started my business here at Symmetry, I needed people. I needed people, Xander, to go do something because my recruiting was very low and not very consistent, right? This is
Yeah.
before Elijah came aboard. This is like the first version of me, right? It's like not the matured version that actually started to do this thing in the right way. And it was like, man, how do I do it? And I remember reading in a book, Elijah, it said if you need people, you can't lead people. And my job as a leader was to first control what I can control, right? And if you do, it gives you a lot of peace in your life, right?
Yeah.
And you start to realize there's certain things you can't control. Like I love the book that we read, Let Them by Mel Robbins. Absolutely love that book. I think it was like 2 months ago or a month or so ago we read that book. And it's just such a good book. And I'm like, man, I think I know this now. I think I know this now. But I'm like, it took me 20 years to learn it. So when people get to go out and read something like that, they can, close up the gap of being able to do that in this business, such thing. But I'd say how I'm able to do it is I recruit enough people, Elijah, that if somebody's going weird and they're not willing to do work for their wife and their kids, now my relationship is so much better with them because I used to think my job was to hire somebody and I had to be part of their daily motivation. And refer to my boy John Maxwell again. I was at an event with him and he said, man, somebody asked him during the luncheon, they said, John, you run two fabulous organizations. You're a world class preacher. You do everything great. He said, how do you motivate people? How do you motivate all the people? You have so many great people on your team. And he said, motivate people. He's known as a world renowned motivator of people and all that stuff. This is what people assume he even thinks he is. And he said, no, he said, I don't. He said, I hire motivated people. And so what recruiting enough does, in other words, doing enough interviews, finding the people, it's not that I'm a genius of picking out people that I'm going to have a great relationship with, is that I hire enough people that the right people do the right things. And then I get to spend time with those people. And also, I didn't need people, Elijah and Xander. So I had to make them go do something for me. Does
Right.
that make sense too? Uh, like the pressure is off. It's like if I hire somebody, I've hired so many people that if they do it and choose to do it, my job, Xander, I've realized is I'm going to meet them halfway and help them.
Yeah.
I used to be out of balance where I would go 80% towards them, they'd come 20% towards me. And that actually creates entitlement by them, right? Resentment, and it never develops them.
Yeah.
My job is to create independence, not dependence, right? And
100%.
so and so I tell you, but as a young leader, man, all I did was create dependence on me. I answered every waiver of premium question, every underwriting question. I was like, man, if you've got a question about a policy, call me. And it's like, none of that do I do anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, call the carrier because that's actually who I called,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
No, I've had the same. I call like we talked about this a couple. It was a month or so ago where I was like, okay, I've kind of not that I've arrived. I'll never have arrived on production, right? You can always get better. You can always do more,
yeah,
but I feel like I have it. I at least have the foundation down, right? And so now I'm more focused on. I want to share this opportunity with others, or not more focused. Let's say it's split evenly, and I'm trying to balance like exactly what you just said. Underwriting questions, waiver of all these different things. And I went through the same thing that it sounds like you did of like, I tried to be there, everything. And the reality is, like, Mark was very good about this. Have you checked the underwriting cheat sheet?
yes,
That'd be a good place to start. And so being, being the traffic cop at the beginning can feel, I don't want to say callous, but it can feel like you're almost phoning in the answer, right? But I had to shift my mentality of like, well, if I'm spending all this time with one individual being their everything, I got all these other people who also feel like they need my help, and I've got to continue to produce on my own. There's only one of me. I simply can't do that. And kind of back to what I was saying about Mark, like Mark didn't do that for me. Mark was like, figure it out. And the reality is that creates a lot of independence because now when I have an issue, I go to the carrier. I know where to go find the answer, and I don't need to bother Mark, who's got also a lot of agents on his team. He's got high leverage stuff to do. And that was one of my biggest realizations this year of like, exactly what you just said. I cannot be someone's motivator. I don't have the emotional battery to motivate all of these people. And so I'm going to do my thing, show you that it's possible, and then it's on you. You've got to have that internal drive. I love what you said, right? You got a family and 3 kids at home. What the heck do you need me to motivate you for? That should be motivation plenty.
yeah, no doubt. It's weird. Now, I will say this to both of you. My relationships, even running a larger team, are better than my relationships running a smaller team. And it's easier to handle too. Like it would be weird. I know Elijah, it probably looks like, man, Chris got to be overwhelmed. And it's like, no, we've set it up in such a way that my leadership understands when they need me, I'm here. Absolutely.
Right.
It's no doubt. I can be anywhere in Europe, whatever. They know I'm going to answer the phone. There's no time that I take off. There's no time that I put in. It's like some people are like, well, Chris, are you on vacation? I was like, no, I'm just working on the other half of the world today. You know what I mean? It's like, but I'm also always off too. Like I don't want you to, think like I'm working all the time. It's not, it's life. Right. And, and so I just say if you hire enough people, you'll find the people that'll work with you. And it doesn't mean you're just throwing people against the wall because some people out there be like, oh, this dude, he just hires a bunch of people and throws them up against the wall, see who sticks. No, we love and care about everybody that joins us. However, they have to meet us halfway. They have
Yeah.
to be willing to do what they're willing to do. And if they will, we're willing to help them. I mean, it's just a great relationship. And it's weird. We used to have people that would leave and they'd be disgruntled and stuff. And I'll tell you what's weird is even the people that don't stick with us anymore own their own stuff. For the most part, they don't even blame us anymore because we're so good at keeping what they should be doing in front of them. They're like, you know what? I just wasn't willing to do the work. Like, and that's healthy. And it's like, man, nothing but the best to you, Xander. If you ever need us, we're here. Like
Right.
it's like even the bigger we've gotten, the better the relationships have become. It's not even been harder, it's actually been simpler. And I've got the phenomenal Tina Freeman here in my office. She's worked with me for 10 years. It's Xander, it's a conversation
Hmm.
we had. Having a good assistant if you want to build a big team and make your life down to IPAs and stuff that you are really good at. That's huge too. I couldn't have done this business without a Tina Freeman. And I just, if you're ever going to build a big business in this industry and make your life better, you have to have a great assistant. She's my director of base shop operations right now. Couldn't do it without her. So just want you to
I
know that.
love that. And the funny thing is, and I'm Elijah, I'm sure you've noticed this too, is the higher up people get in the company, the simpler their advice gets. Right? Like you find someone who's, just getting started and they've got 15, hey, you need to study all these objections and you got all these, and it's like, You talk to someone who's been around for a while, you need to sit with 15 people a week. That's the answer, right? You need to get butts in seats at conference, right? And it's simple scales. Like I think we all know that. But that has been the biggest revelation to me is like you're probably overcomplicating it if it can't be delivered in a one sentence, like a one liner, right?
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee you, one of Elijah's biggest frustrations with me as a mentor to him was he would call me and ask me, and I'd be like, "Oh, have you done this, this, and this?" And and I could tell at times, Elijah growing in business is like, I'm pretty sure he's wanting a lot more complicated answer, but I just know this is the best thing. And it's funny, I hear him talk to Jake, Jake Van Dusen, and Jake said, "Well, man, I just run more appointments." And I remember Elijah on that podcast goes, "Well, he just said you just run more appointments." I was like, I wonder how many times I said that to Elijah and it didn't come off the same way, right? Just
It's like Mark said this, a prophet's very rarely heard in their own village,
yes, yes.
and
So
I've
good, Xander. That's so good, buddy.
heard the same. I have to. I'm one of the people. I got to hear the same advice like 6 times before it's
Yep.
like, oh, that's all I got to do. Why don't you just do more of what's working?
So
It's
good,
that
man.
simple. You're
Yeah,
looking for a
man.
silver bullet. Now the cool thing is once you go through that a number of times, like we've all had bad weeks. Heck, we've all had bad months. And now I have agents turn around to me, Xander, what could I have done better in that appointment? Dude, you did everything you could. It just wasn't your client. Now go
Mm.
run another one. Right? Like
Yeah.
it's so simple and it's so easy to get caught in the almost have tunnel vision on like one one thing that happened of like what could I have done better there? And again, the higher people get, the simpler they make. Like, just wasn't yours.
Yeah, yeah, man. No, I love it. And here's the cool part. Now, I want to just this is for your audience if they're in this industry and this business is just realize this. It's like no matter what company you're with, there's a certain metric, right? A certain metric that calms the brain and takes you from going insane. And just understand this. And something that I've worked with for years. God knows Elijah's probably heard me say this about 500,000 times. If you're part time, if you're in this part of the industry, I've never seen anybody part time sit with 8 people a week, whether in person or via Zoom, not average 2 to 4 applications a week. As long as they did that over a course of a year or a quarter, but don't judge it on a week, right?
Right.
Like don't
Right.
don't do it one week. It's just I love Jake gave that thing. He's like, I judge my business on quarters, half years, and years, right? And I'd say I love that advice. And then the other thing is I've never seen
Me
anybody
neither.
fail sit with 15 families a
Me
week.
neither, man.
21 years I've been doing this. And I remember I wrote down on my desk back when I was a young person in this business, and I was like, my God, how are these guys so good? You guys do it, like, how are they so good? And I was just like, I was honest with myself, or I finally became honest with myself, right? After some self-development books, after my bitch whining and complaining sessions that I'd give to myself and my victim of it. I would be like, I would look at it, and my wife looked over and I said, "Babe, I may should go back to the cross." I was 5 months into this business, right? And and I should go back there because that's what's comfortable, right? I know how to drive a forklift. I know how to sweep a floor. Like
Mm.
that's what I was going to go back to, guys. And she looked over my shoulder and she said, "Honey," and this was my girlfriend at the time, which is Lauren. And she goes, "You're just as good as anybody that walked across the stage. How many appointments a week were they averaging?" And I said, "Well, they were averaging 15. Well, how many are you averaging? 6?" And she goes, "Huh?" They did. And guess what? I did. And that's 21 years ago. And that's, guys, it changed my life because somebody was honest with me.
Yeah.
And then I
Mm.
started to be honest with myself. Right? There's the key. It's like, what are you
Ooh.
pretending not to know? Ooh, now that's a good question. What are
Mm.
you pretending not to know? And it doesn't matter because you guys have people that are with all companies. And keep in mind, whatever company you're with, there's somebody there that's being successful and they're
Yeah.
teaching you the metric of success. And I ask you today, what
Mm.
are you pretending not to know?
Shoot.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is those numbers are not, it's not like, okay, you're going to sit with 15 and you're going to write every other app, right? You might sit with 10, write nothing. And then those last 5 are all the $580 a month policy
Yep.
that you wrote in, you know what I mean? And so it's like,
Yes,
you cannot negotiate with that. It's average. It is an
it is.
average. You cannot expect it to be
Yeah.
every other one. If someone does a 20K month, it typically doesn't look like, hey, you did 5K the first week, 5K the second week, 5K the third week. It's like you did 8 one week, you did 2 the next, you did 6. It's, and we average it out. And so if you fall in love with the averages and the metrics you need to hit, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. You're gonna be fine. And no, I love that. It's just knowing. I know my 20K months, it'd be 2,500, 7,500, 3,000, 8,000, 4,000, and you just don't know. That's the reason you run the numbers, right? There's a saying in the business:
Take
you
the words
can't
out of
beat
my
the
mouth.
numbers, and the numbers can't beat you, right? Right. So if you know that, and and it goes back to those relationships too, you're better at helping clients if you're running 15 appointments a week. Because if you need people, you can't lead people. If you need clients to say yes, they
Facts.
typically won't say yes because they can smell the desperation in whatever you're saying. And you can't be as authentic, right? Because you don't have enough appointments. So you need them, not you're there for them. Right. And see, Elijah, it's the same thing you asked earlier about relationships. The reason I keep recruiting is even for my current agents, is that
Yeah.
I don't want to be overbearing towards them. Like, in other words, I don't, if they don't want to do more, it's okay. I can now, because I'm going out and I want to expand the business, I can just recruit more people. But if they ever want to, they know I'm here for them. And that's
Yeah.
such a great, healthy relationship.
Oh yeah.
Does that make sense, guys? It just it really I had to control. Remember, I couldn't control people, so I had to control what I could control. So if I wanted to grow a business, what could I control? I could control how many people I
Mm.
interviewed and told about this wonderful business.
Well, I got one more
That
question
that
for
was
you,
huge.
Chris, before my Wi-Fi goes out again.
This is awesome, buddy. You keep
Good
coming in and out.
night.
It's like I'm talking to you, and then I get to
So
go to
what's
Xander, and it's
next for you,
fun, man.
man?
So.
What's your goal for this year? What are you running towards? Let's cast some vision for people who are just now looking at this and they're like, this guy, if this guy can do it. That's always the catchphrase. If this guy can do it, I
As far as a team, and I'll just straight talk business wise, like just some business numbers. Our goal coming into this year, we did 8.5 million last year. Our original goal was 12 million. It looks like, guys, we're going to blow that out of the water. Like we'll probably be closer to 15, maybe 16 million. Like, so it's crazy, right? The growth is crazy. Like it's absolutely insane. And I'm just I tell you, like I had a birthday the other day, and I tell you, it's just like one of
Mm.
those times in life, man. I'm just grateful. I'm just really grateful for so many things going on in my life, love, happiness, my kids, relationship with God, like spiritual stuff. I'm just feeling really good. And I just want to help other human beings take away because here's the thing. Once you take money out of the equation, because that's 80% of the reason most couples argue, what I want to do is see more people take that stress out of their life where then they can focus on the good stuff, the relationship with God, the relationship with each other, and they can go and be the thing. And I just want to see more people gain happiness. Like, and I know it's probably like, he getting a little corny with us, but really, I realize I read a book many years ago. It's called The Happiness Advantage. If you're happy, then whatever you go do, you'll be successful at,
Yeah.
right? And that's what it talked about. And I can tell you, I'm happy. So as a natural byproduct of that, we tend to attract those things. Light
Yeah.
attracts light, dark attracts dark. And so I just say, as far as that, what I'm looking for the future, man, I just want to see more people, Elijah, like you and Xander win. I think you're two awesome dudes. Love you're doing a creative outlet with your own podcast. And I want to see you go and impact the world. And I think 20 or 30 years from now, I'll be long gone. You guys will created your own mega companies, and you'll be able to share some old dude got on a thing reminding you of Yoda, and you'll be telling stories. I remember when Cook used to tell us about this. But I think there's a world of people that need something like this. And and I thank God every day that I'm a part of this, man, because it's special.
Likewise.
Yeah, isn't it crazy though? None of us, I mean, like, there's no way. I would have told you there's 4 million other career opportunities that I would have been doing before insurance. Like
Same.
growing up, like I was like, there's no way I'm doing insurance. Like if you would have
Right.
told me, yeah, I would have been like, nope, no way. And like I said, it's just weird how I landed here. It's weird how it went about, but it's almost like, man, after doing it, I feel like I'm just glad I'm not doing anything else. Like,
You took the words out of my mouth. That's what I was going to end on. It's like anytime I've had a quitting phase, I go back to, I'm like, can you imagine going and working for someone else?
it's like,
No,
no,
I couldn't do that. I'll
just
figure it out.
yeah. Yeah. I think you said it was maybe on last week's thing where you didn't have to PTO. What's that? And I think that's my addiction too, right, guys? It's like we all, and that's what I love about where we're at. Like I'm not your boss, and I don't want to be your boss. I just love that we're getting to work with each other. We're business partners is the way I looked at it. And we just get to experience this cool thing together. And then we get to go help other people experience this cool thing together. But I don't want you ever calling me for time off. I want you just taking it, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, go send me pics from the golf course you at. I don't care. You know what I mean? As long as you're happy, healthy, and
100%.
you got where you want to be. So yeah, crazy cool,
Hmm.
man.
I love it. Well, Chris, I got nothing else for you, man. Xander, you got any last minute thoughts?
I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to ruin the perfect ending we got there. Like, I think that's a beautiful way to cap it off, kind of come full circle on everything. You don't want to need people. That's exactly how this business is structured. We just want to see people win. I get super excited seeing new agents win. Elijah's got a couple of them now.
I know.
And so, yeah, just gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. That's what it all comes back to.
Hmm. Chris, thanks so much for joining us today, man. This was a good one.
Yeah. Lovely, lovely. See you guys later.
See you next Friday.